All right, welcome into another edition of PHLY Bets. I'm your host, Jamie Lynch. Right now, PHLY Bets is offering you a promo code for new users you got to take advantage of. Download the app, enter code PHLY365. You can get yourself $200 in bonus bets when you lose your first $5 bet after a $10 deposit. I've been doing that, made a ton of futures bets, and was lucky enough to turn those into a couple parlays, and I'm playing with house money, and we're going to keep it going this weekend. Hopefully everybody caught Wednesday's show where we gave you 3 winners, which was the Bills, the under, and Kansas State last night. Kansas State took care of business in college football on the Friday night game. Of course, that episode is still out if you want to check that out. And every Sunday and Wednesday during the football season, we're going to be bringing you PHLY bets. So let's get right into it. The NFL slate this weekend. All right, let's recap week 1 briefly. The NFL favorites last week went 13-3 straight up on the money line. The favorites were 9-7 against the spread. In primetime night games, the favorites started the season 4-0 and 4-0 against the spread in week 1. So those primetime games really went the way of the favorites. 10 of the 16 games have seen the opening favorites grow this week. That mark of 10 or more games would be the most in a week 2 in the past 20 years. No season in that span has even closed with 9 such games. So the uncertainty is certainly there in the league, as always, but more so than ever this year. There wasn't many lines last week above 7.5. And it kind of tells you with the fluctuation in lines throughout this week that people still don't really have a firm grasp on what some of these teams are and who they are. All right, let's get into the weather. The good news is we're not going to have to go game by game in the weather. Pretty much every game is either domed or like a max 5 to 10% chance of precipitation. Looks like a pretty nice weekend out there. So you don't have to stress over the weather in any of these games too much at all, which is always a nice thing because there's nothing worse than starting a game and you bet it on bet365 and you go, I forgot to check the weather, and it's a torrential downpour. So none of that this weekend, kind of clean sledding. Let's get right into it. The Browns and the Jaguars are the first game on the docket here. The Jaguars are a 3-point home favorite, 160 on the money line. Over-under on this one comes in at 41.5. Now, Deshaun Watson, as a underdog in his career, is 19-14 against the spread. Last week, he was under duress. He was sacked 6 times, the most of any quarterback in week 1. He had a measly 169 passing yards on 45 attempts. Not only 45 attempts, 45 attempts. That's pathetic. No quarterback has ever had fewer than 200 passing yards on 45-plus attempts in a week 1 game. And it's only been done twice in the regular season since 2015. So he joins Big Ben Roethlisberger in his final year and Nathan Peterman. Not good company to keep there. The Browns are 8-16 against the spread versus the AFC North under coach Kevin Stefanski. They dominate out of division against the spread. So because I dislike Deshaun Watson, it makes it an easy one for me to root for the Jags in this one. Give me the Jags as the home favorite there. If you're into buying points, you could probably buy that one down to 2.5 and have a good time there. All right, next game up is the Colts. They are going to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Beautiful 82 degrees and sunny in Wisconsin this weekend. Of course, this is the first game for the Packers without quarterback Jordan Love. The Colts, therefore, are a 2.5-point road favorite. Over-under on this one comes in at 40.5. If you want to bet the Colts, you have to lay minus 150 on that money line. Backup quarterbacks as dogs are just not good bets. Let me tell you, here are the numbers on them. Don't do it. They are 9-16 straight up. That's a 36% win rate. They are 12-1 against the spread since the start of last season, but overall 20-49 straight up, 37-30-2 against the spread since 2021, the past 3 seasons. So can they cover? Yes. Do you really want to be on the side of the Packers here? I kind of think not. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, A lot of good things happening there in Indy. Malik Willis, who is the backup in his 3 career starts, his teams, now granted they weren't the Packers in the past, have scored 14, 17, and 17 points. I think this Colts offense can put up enough points that the Packers aren't going to be able to keep up. Give me the Colts right there on that one. All right, next up, Chargers at Panthers. The Panthers might be the worst team from week 1. They are pathetic. And they find themselves as a 5-point home dog. Now, the question you have to ask yourselves is, are the Chargers and their lack of offensive weapons worthy of being a 5-point road dog? Over-under on this one comes in at the lowest of the week at 39. If you want to bet the Chargers on the money line, you got to lay minus 240. Herbert has only averaged 5.5 yards per attempt last week, which came in 24th in the NFL. Lack of offensive weapons is the concern there with the Chargers. But Justin Herbert does like playing in the East. He is 9-4 against the spread in all games played in Eastern time zone. Over the last 3 years, the under is 21-10 in Herbert's 31 regular season starts. The second most profitable quarterback to the under in that span, only behind our dear doll hands, Kenny Pickett. So if I have to go with this one, I'm not betting the Panthers. I don't care how many points you give me right now. They look really bad. And the Chargers probably are a little bit better than they showed in week 1. So give me the Chargers there. And of course, that trend with Herbert says to play the under on this one, which is really, that's a tough play at 39 points. Okay, next game, Raiders at Ravens. This one comes in at bet365. The Raiders are an 8.5-point road dog in Baltimore, over under 41.5. To bet the Ravens on the money line, way too rich for my blood. You got to lay minus 425 on that one. Couple trends in this game. Over the past 4 years, Lamar Jackson is 15-20 against the spread as a favorite. So not really great numbers there from Lamar as a favorite. Between weeks 1 and 2, though, John Harbaugh is 22-11 against the spread, the best coach against the spread in the NFL the first 2 weeks of the season. And then finally, for teams to be a 3-point or higher dog in week 1, then favored by 7.5 or more in week 2, which the Ravens are. They played in Kansas City in the opening game. 3.5-point dog there, now 7-point favorite here. They are 23-0 straight up and 16-7 against the spread since 2016. So a lot of trends there support the Ravens. Plus, do you really feel confident betting a Gardner Minshew team? Not in particular. So I'm leaning Ravens there on that one. I'll probably fall in love with that one by kickoff. Just give me a little bit of time. I swoon easily. Okay, next game. The Saints are traveling to Jerry World. Saints have a couple injuries to keep note of. The Honey Badger and Marcus Lattimore are both questionable. And then the Cowboys have one with their tight end, Jake Ferguson, beat up week 1, also questionable. So the Cowboys have a little bit of something on the line here. They have won 16 straight regular season home games, dating all the way back to 2022, including all 8 regular season home games last year, with an average margin of victory of 21.5 points. That is flat out ridiculous. So Dallas has been a machine in Jerry World. You have to keep that one on the forefront of your mind when placing bets on this one. So currently on Bet365, the Saints are a 6-point dog at Jerry World, over under at 46.5 points. A couple other trends in this one that make me like the Cowboys as well. Dallas is 7-2 with a spread of 6 or more last year. So Dak can cover these types of games. The Cowboys are susceptible against the run. Could Alvin Kamara keep the Saints hanging in there? Had a good week 1 for them. We'll see. Dallas, their defensive line got after Deshaun Watson last week. They led the NFL in a percentage of hurries. They got to him nearly 43% of the time last week. So we'll see if that trend continues with the Cowboys. And there hasn't been a team that has won by 20 or more points in week 1 be listed as a dog of 6 or more points since Blaine Gabbert and the 49ers in 2016. Saints blew out the Panthers last weekend and now are a big dog in Dallas. Like the Cowboys a lot here. I might even love them. So this might be one of my plays of the week. I'm going to keep a close eye on that one. All right, next up is the Toilet Bowl. Cover your ears, Bree, our producer. The Giants are at the Commanders. It's going to be 80 degrees and partly cloudy down there. That's pretty much the weather report across all games this weekend. Weather, not an issue. Really nice. So the Washington Commanders are a 1.5-point home favorite right now. Over-under on this one comes in at 43.5. Couple news and notes on this game. For some reason, when I was doing my research and just kind of, getting some picks together, I smell an over in this one. Just one of those like sloppy games. 43.5 points. I do like the over on here. That one doesn't really have much research behind it, more than just like kind of vibes. I'm going with vibes for the sloppy over here in Giants Commanders. We'll see. Daniel Jones is 21-14 against the spread in his career after a straight up loss. He was 1-3 straight up and 0-4 against the spread in that spot last season, and was 5-1-1 straight up, 7-0 against the spread after a straight up loss last year. Winning, especially covering at home for Washington, has been tough. Since 2003, they are 69-95-8 against the spread, which comes in at 42% at home, tied for the Raiders as the least profitable against the spread mark in that span. I'm going to take the Giants here. Really not a strong play at all. Just kind of I might not even play it, but for the purpose of this show, I'll go with the Giants here. I don't know. Yeah, just kind of a gross game. If you're betting that one, you got issues. All right, next game up, I should say, is the other team in New York. The New York Jets traveling to the Tennessee Titans. Over-under on this one is 41. The Jets are a 3.5-point road favorite. Got to lay -190 to get them on the money line. Again, the weather is going to be 80 degrees and cloudy. It's just like every forecast this weekend. Underdogs of 4+ points to lead a team by 17 at any point in the game, which the Titans did last week. Were 66-1-1 against the spread since 2019, and they blew it. That's to say they're not very good. Aaron Rodgers last week had a career low. He only possessed the ball on offense for 21 minutes. Maybe that's a credit to San Francisco. I don't believe the Jets are probably as bad as that. So teams coming off a Monday Night Football game on the road and having to play on the road the following week are 12-21 straight up, 13-20 against the spread over the last decade. So certainly not great trends there. Aaron Rodgers in his career, though, straight up after a loss, maybe this can buck the stink of the Jets here. 45-26-1, hitting at a 63% clip there. So maybe Aaron Rodgers will buck that trend for the Jets. Give me the Jets -3.5 at Tennessee. Will Levis has some really just kind of gross numbers out there in terms of EPA per play and some other stuff. So I'll take the gunslinger Aaron Rodgers any day over a guy that puts mayo in his coffee. All right, next game. Seattle Seahawks traveling to New England. The Seahawks are a 3-point road favorite. Over-under on this one, the lowest of the week, 38.5. Beating the other game out by a hook. You got to get lay -165 to get the Seahawks on the money line. Some trends and news and notes from this game. They're the only team that won as dogs of 3 points or more in week 1 and are dogs of 3 points or more in week 2. In the last 20 years, 35 teams have tried what the Patriots are attempting to do and pulled off the upset. They're 6-29 straight up. So Seahawks kind of have them a little bit against the ropes at home, as it's a tough thing to do what the Patriots are doing. Jacoby Brissett, if you're into first half plays, and when you see a trend like this, you should be considering it. Jacoby Brissett is 32-17 in first half against the spreads in his career. Of the 260 quarterbacks eligible in the last 20 years, he's the third most profitable first half against the spread quarterback, just behind Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson. So John Harbaugh really can get those guys coached up in the first half. But keep that in mind with Jacoby Brissett. Not a strong feeling on this one, but if I had to take something, give me the Patriots as the home dog plus the 3. All right, next game, San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously a dome game. No weather to worry about here. Sam Darnold leading the Vikings. He's 8-11-1 against the spread, coming off a straight-up loss in his career, including 1-5 against the spread in his last 6 games in this spot. The 49ers have covered the spread in 5 straight road games dating back to last year. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, there's talk that he could go to the IR. He's going to miss this one. Can Jordan Mason keep it going again? I have a tough time taking the Vikings here. I'll lay the favorite with the 49ers on the road. All right, the final 1:00 game of the slate, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions minus 7.5 points. Over under on this one, rather large, 51.5 points. The Lions on the money line minus 360. Should be some scoring in this one if Baker Mayfield can keep going whatever he had last week, because he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Since 1990, there's only been 4 teams that won week 1 by 17 plus points and ended up being a 7-point dog or more in week 2, which the Bucs find themselves. The Rams last year did it. Those 4 teams are 1-3 against the spread, but 0-4 straight up, losing combined by 17.5 points. So that's a favor of the Lions, big time right there. Jared Goff, he's 12-3 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2 in his career. The best against the spread quarterback in the last 20 years. Really incredible stuff there. He's the most profitable quarterback against the spread in the past 5 years overall. Since 2020, he's 44-24 against the spread. Goff is 24-11 against the spread at home since 2020. The most profitable quarterback in the NFL. Jared Goff, people just keep sleeping on. He's a legit good quarterback in this league, and he covers spreads. The Lions are 36-16 against the spread, which is 69%. Nice. In the regular season over the past 4 years. So Dan Campbell and Jared Goff got something cooking there in Detroit. Give me the Lions minus the 7.5. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on the over there. Maybe throw in a same game parlay. We'll see. All right. The afternoon slate, the 4:05 game, the Los Angeles Rams are heading to Arizona, another dome, so weather's irrelevant. The Rams are a 1-point road favorite. Over under on this one at 47.5. Here's a money line that's manageable, both sides. If you like the Cardinals to win or you like the Rams to win, maybe you think about taking points out of it and just laying the money line. Both are minus 110. A couple news and notes on this game. Sean McVay has thrived against divisional opponents in his career. He is 27-17-1 against the spread versus divisional opponents. Keep that in mind. Kyler Murray has faced the Rams 9 times in his career. 9 times. He's 1-8 straight up and 1-7-1 against the spread in his career. He's failed to cover the spread by 8.4 points per game versus the Rams in his career. Against all other teams not named the Rams, Kyler Murray is 34-23-1 against the spread. Those trends I cannot deny. Give me the Rams -1 in this one. The 4:25 game of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bengals find themselves currently on bet365 as a 6-point road dog. Over under on this one comes in at 48. This game is going to be awesome. 86 degrees, partly cloudy. Again, pretty much the same weather report all across the country. Patrick Mahomes, 16-4 straight up and 12-8 against the spread in the month of September. So he does pretty well in the month of September. That 16-4 mark is the best of any month for Mahomes in terms of money line profitability. So keep that in mind. The Chiefs have the NFL's longest against the spread streak going, dating back to last season at 7 games. Mahomes himself has an against the spread streak of 6 games, which is also the highest of any quarterback currently. So Mahomes has been cashing tickets for people. After the Chiefs win and cover in their previous game, Mahomes is 45-12 straight up, 32-24-1 against the spread in that second game. When the spread is 7 or shorter, he's 22-13 against the spread. So a lot of trends here for Patrick Mahomes. Here's one for the Bengals. As an underdog of more than 4 points, Joe Burrow is 10-2 against the spread in his career when he plays as that big of a dog with Jamar Chase in the lineup. He's 4-1 straight up and 5-0 against the spread. This one I'm going to leave up to you people. I hate betting against Patrick Mahomes. It's something I try never to do. 6 points in the Bengals really tempts me. I'm intrigued to take the Bengals here. Although I don't have a lot of confidence telling you that one. It's just one personally I'm going to play because it's the game of the week and we're all going to be watching. All right, the other 4:25 game, the Pittsburgh Steelers head to the altitude of Denver to take on the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Steelers -2.5. Over under on, I'm sorry. I keep reading the lowest over under. It keeps getting worse, people. This is actually the lowest of the week. 36.5. Oof. I guess Justin Fields and Bo Nix don't encourage a lot of scoring opportunities. But the Steelers are -140 on that money line. This is kind of a gross game. If you're going to play this one, you're probably a Steelers or Broncos fan. But here's a couple numbers for you. When Sean Payton's teams are dogs in September and October, they are 29-12-1 against the spread. Now, granted, most of that time was with Drew Brees and a pretty good Saints team, not this Broncos team. Sean Payton, now the bad side. He's 4-12 against the spread in week 2 as a head coach. Worst of 134 coaches in the last 20 years. Sean Payton hasn't covered a week 2 dating back to 2016. His teams are 1-9 against the spread in week 2 since 2013. Can't deny those trends. When Mike Tomlin opens as a 3-point or higher favorite on the road, he's 21-35-2 against the spread, a measly 38%. Kind of a gross game. I'm just going to hold my nose and play the Steelers on this one. See what happens. Sorry to our colleagues out in DNVR. This game stinks. And then the Sunday night game, Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, a less than desirable start to the season. 6.5-point dogs, over under 45.5. You have to lay -280 to get CJ Stroud and the Texans at home as the money line favorite. This is a duel of some big time young quarterbacks in this league. CJ Stroud has made 18 starts in his NFL career, and he's 6-3 against the spread as an underdog and 3-6 against the spread as a favorite. So, a little more profitable there as a dog. Over the last 20 years, they are 12-28-2 against the spread in night games, the Texans are, which is 30% of the time. The third least profitable franchise against the spread in the NFL. So Sunday night football may not be kind to the Houston Texans. That being said, do you really want to take the Bears there plus the 6.5? I don't know. This game screams prime for a teaser for me. I might tease the Texans down and take the over on this one. And I know what everybody says. The teaser is a sucker's bet. Well, it's not a sucker's bet when it wins, folks. So those are some of my early thoughts on the weekend slate. I am going to probably release a special Falcons-Eagles 5-minute little piece on Monday morning. But for now, that's your weekend slating. Make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled for our PHLY custom boosts that we have going on here. I put one together this past week for the Birds. It involves part Bijan Robinson, part Saquon Barkley, and part Jalen Hurts. So keep your eyes on that one. There's great custom boosts all the time with Bet365. They pioneered live in-game betting, and they have so much going on there, including early payouts across all the major sports, the best in the business. So you can cash out as soon as your team goes up a certain amount of points, and use that promo code PHLY365 when you sign up. You can get $200 in bonus bets after a $10 deposit, and you lose your first $5 wager. So there's some information for you. I'm going to be putting some bets in myself. I think Cowboys are my play of the week. And good luck to everybody out there gambling. Make sure you're downloading the Bet365 app and gambling responsibly, of course. But good luck to everyone on the NFL slate, and we'll root them in. I'll see you next time on PHLY Bets.
We all silly like the mayor.